We live in a world that's constantly screaming at us, more is better. But what if that's a total lie? That's what we're diving into today, the curse of too many choices.
Okay, be honest. You've been there, right? Staring at a wall of, I don't know, 50 different kinds of mustard in the grocery store, and you just freeze. That feeling? That's not you being weird. It's a real psychological trap. And we're going to break down exactly how it works.
To really get this, let's talk about Elias. He took this whole paralysis thing to a new level. He needed a new mattress. But he wasn't just browsing a few websites. No. He built this monster spreadsheet. We're talking 42 rows, 20 columns, foam density, off-gassing periods, you name it. He was literally drowning in data.
And that's when his friend Maya, who happens to be a behavioral economist, basically has to stage an intervention. She looks at his spreadsheet and his bloodshot eyes, and she tells him, "You think all these choices are giving you freedom, but they're actually putting you in a psychological prison." And that's the whole paradox right there.
All right, so Maya breaks it down for Elias. She explains there are basically two kinds of people when it comes to making decisions. And this isn't just some random theory, by the way. This comes from Nobel Prize winner Herbert Simon. And figuring out which one you are, well, that's the key to everything. So on one side, you've got the maximizer. That's Elias to a T. Their whole goal is to find the absolute single best option out there. They'll search 20 stores, read every last review, you know the type. And on the other side, you've got the satisficer. Their goal is way simpler. Good enough. They figure out what they need, and the second they find something that checks all the boxes, bam, they buy it. And, this is so important, they stop looking. Now, the crazy part is, maximizers might end up with something that's technically a tiny bit better, but study after study shows satisficers are just way, way happier people.
So why are maximizers so miserable? It all boils down to this really powerful, kind of paralyzing emotion, anticipated regrets. It's that little voice in your head whispering, but what if I pick the wrong one? What if the other one was better? And the more choices you add to the pile, the louder that voice gets. And look, this isn't just a fun theory. There's a super famous experiment that shows this in the real world. And it all started with jam. So picture this. Researchers Sheena Iyengar and Mark Lepper set up a tasting booth for some fancy jam in a grocery store. Simple enough, right? Some days they'd put out a massive spread, a whole bunch of flavors. And on other days, they'd offer a much smaller, more curated selection. And the results were just wild. When they had 24 different jams on display, sure, a lot of people stopped and looked, but only 3% of them actually bought a jar. 3%. But when they only offered 6 jams, a whopping 30% of shoppers walked away with a jar. Yeah, the smaller display sold nearly 10 times more jam. Isn't that crazy? So what's going on here? It's a phenomenon called choice overload. When your brain sees too many options, it doesn't feel free, it feels overwhelmed. It's just too much work to compare everything, so the easiest thing to do is just walk away. Choose nothing.
Okay, so choice overload can stop us from making a decision at all. But what about when we actually do manage to pick something? Well, the damage doesn't stop there. There are all these hidden costs that make us less happy with what we buy.
The first one is something called opportunity cost. So if you have 50 laptops to choose from, picking just one means you're not just getting that laptop. You're actively rejecting 49 others. And your brain starts adding up all the cool features from the 49 you left behind. That what-if baggage just completely crushes the joy of what you actually chose. Psychologist Barry Schwartz, who literally wrote the book on this stuff, he puts it perfectly. He says, a huge array of choices actually makes the thing you pick less attractive. You end up mourning all the other possibilities instead of enjoying what you have.
And that leads to another really sneaky problem. Our expectations just spiral out of control. Think about it. If you go into a small shop with only one style of jeans and they don't fit right, who do you blame? The store, right? They had bad options. But if you go into a giant department store with 1,000 different styles and you still can't find the perfect pair, who do you blame then? Yeah, you blame yourself. All that choice just shifts the burden of failure right onto your shoulders. And on top of all that, there's a real physical cost to this. It's called decision fatigue. You see, the part of your brain that makes decisions, your prefrontal cortex, it's like a muscle. And every single choice you make, from what to wear to what to have for lunch, it just wears it out. And this isn't just about feeling a little tired. This has massive, real-world consequences. There was this incredible study of Israeli judges ruling on parole cases. In the morning, when they were fresh, they granted parole about 65% of the time. But as the day went on and they got more and more tired, that rate dropped to almost zero. Zero. Then, after a lunch break, it shot right back up to 65%. A tired brain doesn't think things through. It just defaults to the safest, easiest option, which in this case was just saying no.
All right, last big trap, and this one is so counterintuitive. We love a good return policy, right? We think having an escape hatch, an undo button, makes us happier. But the research, it shows the exact opposite is true. Knowing you can reverse a decision actually stops you from ever being truly happy with it. So, how do we get out of this mess? How do we escape this prison of choice? Well, let's go back to Elias. Maya gives him this really simple, practical plan to finally break the curse and just buy the mattress. She teaches him the Satisficers method. It's just a 4-step process, super straightforward. Step 1, you decide what you absolutely need before you even start looking. Write down your non-negotiables. Step 2, you start the search. Step 3, and this is the tough one, you buy the very first thing that meets your criteria, the first one. No exceptions. No, let me just check one more place. And step 4, you stop looking. I mean it. Delete the spreadsheet, close the browser tabs, the search is over, you're done. Why is stopping so important? Because when a decision is final, it activates what psychologists call your psychological immune system. There was this great Harvard study where photography students had to pick their best photo to keep. The students who were told their choice was final were way happier with their picture than the students who were given a few days to change their minds. Once you close the door on other options, your brain just gets to work convincing you that you made a great choice.
And for Elias, it totally worked. He bought the third mattress he looked at. The first couple of nights, yeah, he was a little antsy. But because he couldn't go back, his brain started focusing on the good things. He started to realize, hey, this mattress is actually great. Was it the mythical perfect mattress? Probably not, but it was good enough. And that feeling was so much better than the constant anxiety of the search.
The story ends with Elias back at that same jam stall from the study, but this time he's a changed man. He doesn't taste a dozen samples, he doesn't pull out his phone to check reviews, he just walks right up and says, just the classic strawberry, please. He got it. He's free. So, here's the big takeaway. Real freedom isn't about having a million options. It's about having the wisdom to recognize when something is good enough. And that leaves me with a question for you. From the shows you binge watch to the career you're building, where in your life could you choose good enough and find a whole lot more happiness?
Please like and subscribe.